Let's finish up our talk about the heart anatomy with coronary circulation. So here, this is how blood flow gets to the actual heart muscle. So blood that's moving through the heart, just on its way to the lungs and to the body, doesn't actually oxygenate the heart itself. Instead, what happens is at the base of the aorta, so this is right as soon as it comes out of the aortic semilunar valve, you have a right and a left coronary artery. And then they branch down and they supply the heart with the energy and oxygen that it needs. Okay, so starting out on the right side, the right coronary artery, you have the posterior interventricular artery and the right marginal artery. Again, just write this down. We're going to talk about it, then we're going to look at them on a picture. Now, the major branches of the left coronary artery in our book are the anterior interventricular artery. So the right one goes to the back, the left one goes to the front, and the circumflex artery. The anterior interventricular artery, which supplies the left ventricle, is, now there's another name for it, but this is the one that if you've ever had somebody called the widowmaker, generally this occurs in men who are very young, so probably before the age of 45. They have a heart attack right along one of these branches of the left coronary artery, the left anterior descending artery, but also anterior interventricular artery, multiple names there. They get a blood clot there, and because it supplies so much heart tissue, it is almost always fatal. So that's called the widowmaker. It's very sad. We don't want that to happen, but it can. Now, so that's the arteries. The capillary beds get drained by venules. They form veins. All right, so you have a great vein, a middle, and a great cardiac vein, middle cardiac vein, small cardiac veins. They empty to something that's called a coronary sinus. So it's going to be on the back side of the heart that dumps back into the right atrium. So a sinus, just think like big opening that's just going to put blood right back into the right atrium. Okay, so let's look at this. First, I want to highlight this. This is a cast of coronary vessels. This is how many blood vessels are in the heart, just to keep the heart working like it's supposed to. So that's a lot. Okay, so let's start here. Here's the aorta. So coming right out of the left ventricle, here are these coronary arteries. So here's the left one for the left side. Here's the right one for the right side. So here's the right coronary artery, the left coronary artery. All right, so that's going to break into the posterior interventricular artery. And you can see this is shaded, which means it's running along the back side, between the ventricles on the back side. And then you have the right marginal artery. The right marginal artery is going to be what supplies the right ventricle. On the left, we have the left coronary artery. Then you have the circumflex artery, which kind of goes to the left atrium and part of the left ventricle. Then you have this anterior interventricular artery, which goes all the way down, kind of between the ventricles. And this one kind of right in here that's not really labeled is anterior descending, strictly supplying this left ventricle. That's going to be anything in this area a heart attack is going to be almost exclusively fatal. It's so bad because there's so much damage that can be done in such a short time. All right, so then it goes to the capillary beds. And so we start getting blood draining up. So you have the great cardiac vein, so this is on the left side, draining the left ventricles. And the atrium too. But so you have the small cardiac vein, you have the middle cardiac veins coming up in the back. So here's the coronary sinus. It's this big, long, see how wide it is right there? Very wide. And it's going to end, you can see this opening right here, right into the right atrium.